Okay, it's Wednesday, February 2nd. It's after the close of trading. I was unable to trade today. I was away all day, and now I'm kind of looking back at a lot of charts and seeing what developed, what to look for going forward. Just thought I'd analyze the SPY chart here. There's a lot of interesting things developing here, and it applies to many individual stocks as well. But let's just kind of look at what's happened so far this week. So far, you can see here we've had a two up from last week, a two up, two up. So it's 4 days in a row, two up. Certainly due for a little bit of a pause. No matter what the trend was, anytime you see 4 days in a row, you start realizing exhaustion's in play in the short term. First of all, one of the interesting things here is the monthly chart. We are now 2 days into the month, and you can see here we have started the month green. This was the prior month, January. We had the big buying tail, so we still have to essentially get out of this bar at some point. Maybe this will be a big inside bar. That's what you're kind of expecting, a big inside bar here in February, and then we'll have to see what March and April do to either attack the highs or low of January. But you never know. I mean, maybe we just head up strong and have a two up this month. But it doesn't seem that way. But anyway, what's happening here is the open. I put a blue line here at the open of the month. That was the open on yesterday. And you want to really see now if we have a little bit of a pullback, are we going to hold this lower blue line to keep the month green? I have a feeling we can get a two down day and then go a little below that. So for a second, the month is going to be maybe red. But then what's interesting is you look at the weekly chart. And again, this is kind of the monthly, where the monthly turns, red here. But as long as and that's kind of the midpoint of this weekly bar. That's why I often look at midpoint bar, of given bars to just, as long as the, weekly holds the midpoint and heads higher, we're still fine. So if we pull back a little bit tomorrow and just hold the midpoint and hold the monthly, then we're going to look for eventual continuation higher and feel comfortable. If we go below that, all of a sudden you want to then see, how the week closes. And at that point, maybe you get a two down week next week, then the monthly's red, and then we're going to be attacking these lows. So, it looks like a great overall, if you look at the bigger picture, we did take out major monthly, quarterly broadening, lows, and it looks like this is a great weekly reversal to head higher and eventually attack the highs. This is the start you wanted to see, but you have some interesting points here to monitor, on pullbacks, whether or not this is going to fail and continue lower, or just kind of hold in here and eventually start back up again. In terms of today itself, what I see, if I go to the 15-minute chart, I see that there was a big gap up on the day. I know there were big gaps up on Google and other stocks that had earnings. And so big markers are opening up. But you can see here on the 15-minute chart, we opened up red to start, kind of near the overnight lows, and then we immediately moved lower. So that showed you, at the beginning of the day, we were certainly going to pull back. But look what happened in terms of, you're holding above the midpoint of the prior day, and you come right down to yesterday, what I call yesterday's close, and that's where the market reversed. So when you see the 15 coming down, this is kind of one point, and that you're above yesterday's midpoint, but you're opening week after a gap up, what you generally can do, and I kind of expect the turn to happen here at the close. That's kind of a point I always, want to see holding, either the overnight lows or the close of yesterday. So if you go to the hourly chart, you can see here, that's where on the lows, you had the nice, hammer bar, the reversal bar, and that means you could have bought above here, looking a little more on the hourly chart for a move to new intraday highs and to broaden higher. And what's also interesting is if I look at the 1 minute chart, just spread out, you could see here how that, you had the broadening formation right from the open, kind of heading lower, and you had a little high here. So it's funny how once you reversed up here, you eventually took out, the key midpoint of this megaphone, and then headed it all the way up eventually to the top of the broadening action. So that's, again, you always look for that when you see a broadening action lower and you want to project higher. If you don't buy right down here, once you see the rally happening, you can almost anticipate that you're going to take out those highs and then move to some kind of, top of the megaphone type of thing. So anyway, just thought I'd point that out. So anyway, what's happening here, let me just zoom out the 15-minute, because I see we're starting down. Facebook had a terrible earnings reaction and everything's down a little bit now. So tomorrow, let's just say, we'll see how the overnight action forms tomorrow. And this is that key area here that flips the monthly chart green or red. So it's going to be interesting to see if we open down here and can hold this level. If we head a little lower, then I know that the weekly chart is kind of, for the time being, going to be down here and maybe failing a little bit on this green bar. We still have 2 days to go in the week. So I really want to watch tomorrow's opening. It'll be a 2-down day that'll be developing with targets. If you go below, this is what I think would probably happen. If you go below the, the weekly midpoint here, I think you'll probably go to this daily low target here. And if you're just trying to generally hold in this area, because we did have such a nice reversal, I think at some point, then maybe on Friday or the next, you'll start getting a 2 up in this kind of thing to flip everything back to green. That'll be the exciting time to buy again. In the meantime, you're going to have to kind of play the weakness and just see if this big, nice start to the week wants to fail a little bit, and because the monthly chart's going to flip to red temporarily. So anyway, that's just kind of what I'm seeing here. I'm going to browse through a bunch of other stocks and just kind of get a feel for how they're developing. You got to feel good about this, the way this reversal looks, and you got to expect some kind of pullback. And then I think it's going to just give you a little confusion here in the very short run about, are we really flipping to red and going below the weekly midpoint and everything else? But I think I would still anticipate some kind of, after some kind of consolidation here, the start back up could really be exciting for some more buys, either at, Friday or into next week.